Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. The good sheriff is traveling and not in today, but we'll have him back next week. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. This is the broadcast for November 18th in the year of our Lord 2025, promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property, and doing so in the traditions of our founding fathers. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Lindell back with us. He does a tremendous job. MyPillowTrial.com is the website to keep up on everything Mike Lindell and what he's doing. And man, he has had a battle of the century. You know, there's two people in this world that have been attacked more than me. One of them is Donald Trump, and the other one, sadly, is Mike Lindell. He's stood tall and strong, and he's been abused and ridiculed and mocked and sued and deplatformed. And I mean, I can keep going on, but y'all know the deal. Our prayers are with Mike, and we want to get an update. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Oh, thanks for having me back on, Sam.
All right, so catch me up. Everybody knows there's been a big, huge battle about the election machines and the fraudulent, manipulative capabilities of those machines. And anybody who's criticized them has been sued till the cows come home. And the Smartmatic and some of these Dominion and everybody else are saying, hey, you can't say that. You're defaming us. You're this, you're that. They've won a lot of money and a lot of lawsuits. But the truth is finally coming out. Thank you to your persistence, sir. Do you want to update us on kind of where we are on that?
Yeah, and I want to give everybody right out of the gate some good hope. We now have a fifth county in Texas, along with Dallas County and others. Dallas County is a huge county where they're getting rid of the machines and going to paper ballots, hand counted in the upcoming primaries. So we will have a great prototype to show the country and get rid of these machines before the midterms and save our country. But I'll give you an update here. There's kind of three.
Before the update, really quick, didn't President Trump too say machines have to meet certain standards as well and put together some kind of an executive order on that?
Oh, yeah, he did that quite a while ago. That was when I brought him a whole packet back in February of our teams for 4.5 years. It was about an inch thick. And the DOJ looking into that, they came out with recommendations that President did an executive order this spring. He's probably going to be coming out with another one. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but just hint.
My whole point, though, is that people are working on this from all fronts now is the point,
absolutely.
Right?
He's been working on it from the top down. He wants to get to paper ballots, hand counted, same day voting, no machines, precinct level, signature required. But then you also have horrible Uniparty Republicans blocking us. I'll give an example. Arkansas, that's bright red. Good old Sarah Huckabee Sanders is just ignoring everything the president says about our election platforms, and it's shameful.
And Sarah, of all people, should know better, Mike.
Yes, she really should. Her and Kim Hammers down there. He's a guy. The stuff that's went on in Arkansas and places like Louisiana and Alabama, it's just disgusting that these Uniparty, I call them Uniparty Republicans, have been bigger blockers than some of the Democrats. It's disgusting.
Wow. All right, go ahead with the update. I just wanted people to understand that Donald Trump's even working on this, so that's at least some good news.
He's been working hand in hand. Him and I mean, hand in hand. He's coming from the top down. My teams are coming from where they've always been, right here with the public, county by county in the country. And you guys can all check on that, MyPillowTrial.com or Vocal. Vocal is my social media platform, VOCL. Get on board there and find out every day with the Election Crime Bureau and stuff what's going on in your county and around the country. But here's an update. I want to start with the Smartmatic. Let's start with Smartmatic. So about 2 months ago, now Smartmatic has one county in the United States, LA County, but they go back to the genesis of these corrupt machines and companies and the computers themselves back when they stole Venezuela back in the early 2000s. I was on years ago, now it's been almost 5 years, constantly in contact myself with the Venezuela underground and what they had to endure losing their country, what they thought was going to be forever until it came here to the United States. So, but Smartmatic, they sued MyPillow and myself in January of 22, a year after Dominion started or sued Mike Lindell, MyPillow. But remember, Smartmatic started Lawfare in this country the day they sued Fox News, not Dominion. Smartmatic started it all on February 4th of 2021. So when they sued myself and MyPillow, I had different lawyers. I've had, numerous tens of millions of dollars poured into all this stuff, and to the point where I'm out of money. Well, anyway, Smartmatic, we put up, it's called a summary judgment to get rid of this. It's a frivolous case to get rid of it. Their lawyers put up a summary judgment. Now, this judge 2 months ago in Minnesota, the timing was so suspicious is the word I would use. And he came back with a ruling and said, Mike Lindell is guilty of defaming Smartmatic, and MyPillow is also guilty by vicariously liable, means by association, guilt by association. Okay, and this means that if I don't appeal this, if I didn't appeal it, it would set a precedent in this country. Remember, it would just go to jury trial sometime in the future, a year or two from now, and all the jury would decide is how much does Mike and MyPillow owe, and did they do it maliciously? It's disgusting what this judge did.
It is. Now, let me tell you where this guilt by association doctrine started. I have a friend by the name of James Edwards. He does a show called The Political Cesspool. They basically wrote an article about him in a Michigan Detroit newspaper, and they said he was the leader of the KKK. Turns out he wasn't the leader of the KKK. He's never even been a member, Mike.
Right.
And they sued him. He sued and said, you guys are crazy. That's the quintessential definition of libel and slander. They came back and said, so what? Aesop's fable reigns? You're guilt by association. And they literally took that to the bank. They said, it's the company you keep. See, that's Aesop's fables that they went to. That set the pattern for your case and Trump's cases as well when they did that. And basically, James lost his case, didn't have the money to continue, and the attorneys and everything else. But I'm just telling you, that's where that doctrine started just recently. It's new.
Wow.
There's no case precedent for it or anything else. It's absolute. Well, they're using the same thing here.
Right. And if I let this stand, that's why what you're saying, Sam, here would be the ramifications of that. Let's just say I said, you know what? I'm not going to worry about Smartmatic for 2 years from now or whatever. Let's just say I said that. Well, what that would do, it would then immediately set a precedence that you could never, anybody, all of us in this country could never question a government private contractor again. I don't care what they have a contract for. It could be pillows. How dare you question these pillows? I'm a private government contractor.
These are government approved pillows.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. So whatever would be approved, like these machines, you can't look inside these machines. It's proprietary. So that would set a precedent. The other thing, as bad as that is, you as an employer in this country would have to worry about everything your employee is doing on their own time. And they'll say, hey, that was your employee. You're liable too. You're getting sued. But here's what came out a week later. After this, 1 week later, a Smartmatic whistleblower came out. And it basically saying everything Mike's been telling you for 5 years is true. 100% true, not partially true, true. Then a week after that, everybody, it came all over the news. Smartmatic is guilty. The company is charged with bribery in the Philippines and all these crimes against humanity, basically. Everything I've also been saying for 5 years. So in other words, it's like, did I defame a corrupt organization or did I open up for everybody to see? So anyway, what that does is like, I thought when that happened, it'd be like my cousin Benny. In light of the new evidence, case dismissed. But that's not it, everybody. I got to still pour money into this because the media out there, you're not going to see any of this on Fox News or Newsmax or Salem Media. None of these people will report the positive things going on out there or the negative things when it comes to our elections and these machine companies.
And some of these companies have tried. Fox and Salem and others tried. Dinesh D'Souza in his incredible movie 2000 Mules. Some people have tried, but when you get this beat down by Lawfare, very few people who have the guts like you do, Mike, to just keep going.
Right. They've all settled up to this point. And which brings up our next. By the way, when they in Colorado, when I went to the case in Colorado, the first case that went to jury trial, the last thing, it was a Dominion related lawsuit. The last thing that their criminal attorneys, they're just horrific, these guys, these people that are involved in this. This attorney said to the jury, we all know Mike Lindell had a net worth of just a few years ago of over $100 million. And now you've seen he's tens of millions in the hole. But we asked the jury for $60 million. And if it bankrupts MyPillow and Mike Lindell, so be it, because we need to send a message to the country that you don't question our election platforms.
All right, hold on, Mike. Go ahead and skip. Let's skip the break. Let's just skip the break and keep going. Continue, sir.
Yeah, and put out disinformation. So what, he puts out this narrative. Well, now we're going to, so what, and by the way, all machine companies, there's none better than another. ES&S, the good old boys, the biggest one in the country, out of Omaha, Nebraska. They, one of the things that Smartmatic whistleblower said, that all voting machines are created or manufactured with vulnerabilities built in them. And the reason they're built in them, because if you catch them in anything, a deviation going, hey, let's check this out. They used to say, you know what? It was a malfunction of the machine. It was a programming error. We will fix that. It gives them a reason to blame it on this that's already built into the machines. It's built-in crime.
And this started with the vaccine companies back in 1986, ladies and gentlemen, when they created the Vaccine Injury Compensation Fund. They basically said, look, the vaccine companies have no liability whatsoever. The American taxpayer will take it. Now they're trying to back in that same door through Lawfare to protect these voting machine companies, and Arctic frost is mixed up in this too, believe it or not. Mike?
Absolutely it is, but I want to backtrack a little bit before we get into even the Arctic frost. Let's talk about Dominion, everybody. Dominion was the first one that sued MyPillow and Mike Lindell back in February of 2021. When they shocked the world and sued MyPillow, and remember, everybody, I'm the one that said, Dominion, sue me. You're threatening and suing everybody else. Why don't you sue me? I have all the evidence. So not only did that, but they sued MyPillow, saying it was an elaborate scheme of Mike Lindell to make money off promo codes, bad-mouthing voting machine companies. It was insanity, okay? But that started that. Now, Dominion has kind of, obviously, in 1 week, you had all the crooked the stuff that went on in the spring of, I believe it was, might get the dates wrong. I think it was the spring of 23. It might have been 22. And in 1 week, this all happened, everybody, to shut up the country. And on a Tuesday, Dominion made their dirty deal with Fox and gave them $757 million. On a Wednesday, they came out in the news, Mike Lindell's evidence is wrong. He owes $5 million. By the way, it was overturned because I took it all the way to the federal courthouse in Minneapolis and won that. Of course, my evidence good. And that was on a Wednesday. So Tuesday, the Fox News thing. Wednesday, Mike Lindell, my evidence is no good. And Friday, Fox fires Tucker because he was going to start talking about the machine. This was all in 1 week. Everything was to silence the country about these voting machines, to silence. Don't ever talk about them. Don't ever talk about them. Well, just recently, everybody, you might have seen in the news, this a couple, 3 months ago, Dominion, the headlines were Liberty Vote. What a great name, right? Liberty Vote purchases Dominion, this Republican, this GOP guy, this wonderful new owner. He purchases Dominion, and they made it look like, oh, poor Dominion, because they were attacked by Mike Lindell and others. But what this guy's going to do, he's going to tell Dominion, as part of this purchase, you got to drop all the lawsuits against Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, Mike Lindell, MyPillow, and the list went on. Well, everybody, and then the guy also said, and I'm all for hand-marked paper ballots. Well, let me tell you the lies in that statement. Biggest lies in the history of the world. They didn't drop MyPillow and Mike Lindell. They did go to all these other ones like Rudy Giuliani and OAN and these places, and they did settlement agreements. Let's walk away after you've already been destroyed. Walk away. You can't ever badmouth the machine companies again. In fact, you got to just embrace them. And whatever your settlement details are, it can't be disclosed to the public. That's what they did. Those are called settlements. Those aren't called dropping your cases. Well, you know what? When they came to me, which was right up to yesterday, we'll do a walk away. Don't ever Well, even yesterday they said you can still badmouth us, but we want to do a closed walk away. No, it's you can't.
In other words, you can badmouth us, but you can't use any evidence to do so.
That's exactly right. And you can't badmouth the new Liberty vote, which is as bad as Dominion. You can't just change the name.
So let's be clear, everybody. Dominion was bought out by Liberty Vote, and Liberty Vote we hoped would be better, but this is a tied-in Republican. It's no better at all.
It's no better at all. In
fact, it's worse, and let me tell you why. And it's worse, and let me tell you why. Because now that they've changed the name, they were very careful, I'm sure, in the agreements to purchase that company to not accept any liability, only accept the benefits. That's commonly done in business transactions and transfers and purchases like this. And what they've done is made it almost impossible for anybody really to go after anything, because they'll say, oh, that was the other company. We didn't absorb or assume any liability on that. Isn't that how it works?
Well, yeah, that's how they think it's going to work, but I got news for them. That ain't going to work in my world. I'm going after Liberty Vote, Dominion. We're taking down these machines. If the names don't matter, all machines have to go. And let me be very clear when this new guy says, I'm all for hand-marked paper ballots. Let me tell everybody something. We all have hand-marked paper ballots. The whole country has hand-marked paper ballots, but they go into machines called tabulators, and that's where all the computers take over. It doesn't matter. That part, it's all corrupt. You got to get rid of the machines altogether and get
because once it goes into the machines,
you need paper ballots hand counted.
Because once it goes into the machines, folks, you lose control. There's no association between your ballot and what your quote entry in the machine is. That's the problem,
exactly right? That's exactly right. And people say, well, you can always count that paper. No, they always steal enough so you can't. You got to be within so many votes. You guys, we just had an election a few weeks ago. They stole 3 races that we know of. That the Attorney General in Virginia, he was favored by 9 points the night before. You don't lose favored by 9. They stole it in real time. My cyber guys were watching this. Boom, done, stole. And everybody's pointing to, it's all about marketing too. They're all looking at New York going, man, Danny, oh my gosh, look at this socialist just won. And everyone's pointing to that. In the meantime, they're stealing all these other races. And this is what's going on. We've got to get rid of these electronic voting machines. It's disgusting. And I will not stop fighting. I will never stop fighting, or we lose our country. People like myself that have seen what we've seen. It's over, everybody. This isn't maybe we can get a more secure machine. You can't. They all have back doors. They all have it. You have to, every single voting machine. That's why 132.
Yeah, my phrase is this: as soon as they can prevent the Pentagon from getting hacked, we can talk about it.
Yeah, right. And you know what? 132 countries, the last one being Argentina, have banned electronic voting machines in their election. There are the reasons they did that. Argentina just freed their whole country by one judge saying, hey, we got to get rid of these machines. And they did it in 4 months, everybody. It was amazing. Now, over 100 countries have banned early voting and mail-in voting. And if you don't think all that ties into computers too, when you talk about the dirty voter rolls, those are on computers. This new guy that bought Dominion, he's all involved with electronic polling books. This guy just didn't come from out of nowhere and think he's making this investment because Dominion's such a great company to buy. It's disgusting. Liberty Vote is disgusting. What they're trying to do is let's put Dominion behind us. They're not changing machines. They're not changing machines. There's nothing different. They just changed the name. And I was waiting for the media to come out and say, Donald Trump can control our elections now because Dominion was bought out by a mega guy or by a Republican. Well, that lady in Texas, whatever her name is, I can't remember now, just a week ago, she's kind of a crazy Democrat down there. She came out and said it straight out. She goes, Liberty Vote bought Dominion. It's a Donald Trump. They're in cahoots with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's going to steal the election now. You know what? This is a people problem, not a Democrat-Republican problem. We have to get rid of these voting machines, period. There's a reason they continue to attack me, myself, and MyPillow. When Donald Trump won the election, everybody came out to me, Mike Lindell, you've been vindicated. How do you feel? I said, What do you mean vindicated? They turned up the attacks on me now more than any time in history. Every day just hammering me. Now they went after the Keith Ellisons, went after my Lindell Recovery Network. They want me to shut up about these machines. When Donald Trump won the election, everybody's pointing, look at, he won, over, it's over, we're safe. In the meantime, they stole 9 members of the House. The votes didn't come in till halfway through December, and they stole 4 senators. That's reality, everybody. Why didn't they steal the whole thing? Why didn't they steal the president's race? And why didn't they steal the House then? Because we're on to them. Everyone in this country would have demanded finally, open up those machines. We've had it. If your bank account's off, you go right to the bank and they look into the computer. They don't hide it and say, I'm sorry, we're right, you're wrong. You say one more bad thing about our bank and we're going to sue you. This is what we've had to endure for 5 years, and it's disgusting.
It's got to stop, ladies and gentlemen. To learn more, to be part of the solution, MyPillowTrial.com, Mike Lindell, MyPillowTrial.com. Let's talk a little bit more about this because it's interesting. Is Tucker Carlson willing to come to the table and really deliver on this? I know he kind of got fired because he was about ready to go, right?
I don't know. It took me 2 years to convince Tucker that the machines were a problem. And finally, I got a text. He said, Mike, you were right all along. And he did get on a stage in Arizona and he said, the machines have to go. Elon Musk, a year ago in the summer, put out 2 tweets and said, or two X's or whatever you call it, going, these machines, I'm all about computers and technology, but the one thing computers should not be used in is in elections. And now, has Tucker been outspoken about it since? No, absolutely not. None of these people are. It's disgusting. It's like almost like people get to them, be zapped, or they don't want to believe. I think a lot of people just don't want to believe it. Like, oh, gee, we can't believe that. Of course, we can make things more secure. And you guys, if we don't get rid of them, it's over. Everything our president has done will be in vain, and it is over. We lose our country forever. This is a spiritual battle of biblical proportions, of evil and good. You have people that have seen what I've seen. Look at Tina Peters, 9 years. She never had a jaywalking ticket in her life. The attacks continue. I mean, the people that are out there that have worked on the ground, the attacks from the ground up and even from the top down. This is their device, their way to steal our elections without firing a shot and to take our whole country. And I will say this too, is people say, well, Mike, the judges have ruled this and this and this. The judges aren't all corrupt, but this is so bad. It's like a mafia. If there's a judge down in Georgia that was trapped, she did a case that went on for 8 or 7 years, Curling versus Crooked Brad Rassenberger, the Secretary of State of Georgia. It was about the particular brand Dominion machines, how hackable they were and how vulnerable they were. Well, finally, in the fall of 23, she said, you know what? After 6 years, we're going to move this case forward. She moved it forward. And she also said, if you question the machines, you're not a conspiracy theorist. So I took off my tinfoil hat on national TV. I'm going, yes, finally we have a judge, and her name is Totenberg. She was appointed by Obama. And guess what? In January of 2024, Alex Halderman, a cyber guy, hacked him with a ballpoint pen in front of the judge and flipped the whole election in 5 minutes and did it twice. She goes, you can't do that. Yes, she did it twice. Now, this judge was trapped, everybody. She couldn't make a ruling and say, get rid of the machines. Who knows what call that was made? Hey, you're living with a pretty nice family. And she finally had to, after a year, just kick it out on standing, said, there's no standing, and the case got buried forever.
That's the way they do it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to continue. We will never give up. Our country is at stake. Mike Lindell with me. Can you stay a little longer, sir?
Absolutely.
All right, I got a quick pause. I want to drill into this because I really want to talk not only about the machine companies, their disaster, as we know, but we got to talk about Arctic frost and how that relates to all this so people kind of connect the dots, if you will. MyPillowTrial.com, ladies and gentlemen, is the website. Donate liberally today. It's the only time we believe in liberalism is when you donate. Just add zeros, okay? Start with a positive number, add zeros. MyPillowTrial.com. Mike Lindell, yours truly, continuing seconds. You're watching and listening to Liberty Roundtable Live. –
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. An unusual spike in internet traffic is blamed for an outage that took some of the web's most popular sites and services offline for several hours this morning. The problem was at internet infrastructure provider Cloudflare, which is now back up and running. It impacted sites including X, Shopify, and ChatGPT, among many others. It's called the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and it is expected to come up for a vote today in the House, directing the Department of Justice to release all files relating to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, something that President Trump says he supports. Meals and meetings are on the agenda today for President Trump as he welcomes the Saudi Crown Prince to the White House.
The visit begins with a formal arrival ceremony, followed by talks in the Oval Office and lunch. In the evening, the White House will put on a lavish dinner. It has all the trappings of a state visit, but it's an official visit because Crown Prince Mohammed is not technically a head of state. He and the president are expected to formalize several economic and military agreements.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston says the president also indicates that there will be a sale of advanced F-35 fighter jets to the Saudis, who Mr. Trump calls a great ally. The Dubai Air Show is up and running, with hometown airline Emirates ordering 65 Boeing 777 aircraft.
Emirates is looking to increase its fleets thanks to record earnings and apparently unending demand for flights through what has become a major east-west travel hub. Emirates reported $5.2 billion in profits last year. Military sales remain a focus at the show, with Russia taking part despite sanctions. The event has also seen a renewed interest in flying taxis, which Dubai hopes to get in the sky for riders next year. Bob Agnew reports.
The Dow's down more than 600 points. Townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141.
Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
I got an email, everybody. It says, hello, everyone. This is Mike Lindell. We have seen miracle after miracle over the last 4 years. We started a movement that opened the door that no man can close. When the 2020 election was clearly stolen, we were not silent. It costs us everything. But God has been faithful to give us this platform to fight, fight, fight. Amen. And despite how hard the Uniparty has been trying to cancel us, they just haven't been able to stop the incredible momentum that's on our side. Securing our election platforms has always been the goal. Okay? Anyway, the FBI attacked Mike Lindell big time too, literally stopped him and took his phone. They were out of control. Has Kash Patel apologized for that yet, Mike? Come on, no, Cash, let's go, buddy.
Right on. And you guys, this is called Arctic frost. Let me explain what Arctic frost is.
Please.
It came out this summer and it was all exposed. It started in 2022. It was a government code name for this operation to destroy people, individuals, I think 9 senators and 1 company, MyPillow. Okay, what I believe now is I was just in Washington D.C. meeting with senators and with some people in the DOJ. What this was a government attack from the DOJ, the FBI, in my case also the IRS, and 4 other government agencies to basically take out MyPillow and silence Mike Lindell. Okay, what they did, and we have the whole timeline of just MyPillow and Mike Lindell. I'm in there probably more than most people or more than anyone, because there's 2 paths. There's the Mike Lindell. It's listed as the Mesa County. Everybody, you know what Mesa County is? That's the whole Tina Peters, Mesa County. That's when they took my phone in a Hardee's in Mankato, Minnesota in September.
And God bless Tina Peters, by the way. Our prayers are she gets released ASAP, and we'll do everything we can. Go ahead, sir.
Absolutely. And this goes through Colorado, through the criminal Jenna Griswold, the Secretary of State, through Dominion voting systems there. Everything they did to people in Colorado, including Tina Peters, by putting her in prison. Remember, Tina Peters went in there defiant and said, I'm never going to stop talking about it. I love our country. And the judge says, you're a threat to keep spreading disinformation, and put this grandma in there, Gold Star mom, who had never even had a jaywalking ticket. It's disgusting. It's so sad, but she's we pray. Yes, our prayers are that we're going to get her out. I know the president has been trying and trying. Her lawyers have been trying. You hear different things, and I really believe that that's going to come to fruition. But she never. They didn't get what they wanted. They wanted her to say, "Oh, there's no problems with the machines." If she'd have said that, just like many of us, we've never been attacked again. Oh, there's no problem with voting machines. Well, Arctic frost, everybody. The first thing they did to me is they went to Verizon. And they subpoenaed all my phone records. This is in early 2022. And then Verizon took down my...
without probable cause, without due process or any of those things.
Right. It was Garland. We have all these internal emails and sends. All this was all with the Attorney General, Garland at the time, and all these corrupt agencies that did this with nothing. I mean, it was basically, here, we're just going to go on this attack. Now, they did this, and Verizon shut down our text marketing at the time, which cost tens of $1,000s a day to MyPillow. Okay, Verizon just shut it down. No explanation. Didn't get it back for 3 years. Okay, now we got it. Now let's move on a little further up. And in the spring of 2022, the one retailer we had that never left during the machine attack, it's almost like the voting machine company, running this race to kill Mike Lindell and MyPillow, that they handed the baton to our own government. And then what they did, they went to Walmart, and Walmart dropped MyPillow in May of 2022. This was with our government in cahoots with them. They dropped MyPillow. It was devastating. Then in September.
In fact, let me stop you there really quick. Without drafting the government into their cause, they probably would not have been able to have got those things done. It was the government that made companies go, oh, wait a minute. That was a step that crossed the line, right?
Right, absolutely. And right at about the same time, they approached two of my banks in Minnesota. I think it was Minnesota Bank and Trust, two banks, and you can even look this up, MyPillow and Mike Lindell getting debanked. That was the first two banks. And we have emails, internal emails of the bankers at that bank saying, hey, Mike Lindell and MyPillow, they are a risk. They are a risk now. We've been subpoenaed by the government, and let's just drop them. So they dropped MyPillow. I made a big deal of it publicly. I went public and shamed those banks. I didn't know that they were ordered by the government or basically subpoenaed by the government. So I thought these banks were just doing it here. I didn't know it was our own government. Then in September of 2022, I was surrounded by the FBI at a Hardee's restaurant in Mankato, Minnesota, coming back from a hunting trip. I told my buddy, something's going down. This is really bad. If anybody's read my book, I've been some of the worst places in the world back when I was a crack addict. These guys did not look like, these cars were not the typical FBI cars with little glasses on looking like something out of a movie. No, it was all, you would swear that it could be anybody. Bad people, good people, you wouldn't know. And we were surrounded, and I got out, I said, who are you and what do you want? They said, FBI. And I said, I don't believe you. Show me a badge. He showed me one. I said, how about you? He showed me a badge. I said, well, bad guys probably wouldn't carry more than one FBI badge. But, and I told that story a million times. They pulled me over. I told them I wanted to be arrested. They would not arrest me. This went on for 2 hours. I said, I wanted to be arrested because I wanted to go on, maybe make Fox News to finally tell about these machines that we've got to save our country. And that the FBI, they wouldn't do it. Then they're going to take my phone. I said, you're not getting my phone. And they said, oh yeah, we're taking your phone. And I said, I want to call an attorney. And they said, no, you can't call an attorney. I said, well, good. Then I get to get arrested. I mean, this went on for 2 hours in that parking lot, but it was disgusting. I chewed these guys out. I said, where's your moral compass? They go, Mike, we're just doing our job. I said, you know what? Where's your moral compass? You guys have crossed a line. I said, the people you did in Colorado broke in their homes, battery rammed them down. They weren't charged with anything. You ripped their daughters down and put them out in the yard in their underwear at 13 and 14 years old. And they didn't know what to say because two of them were from Colorado. And I told the one guy, I'm actually witness to them about Jesus Christ in the parking lot. And finally they go, we got to go. And I'm going, I go, good for you, Special K. I said, you followed me down Hunter. You could have came to my office and got a copy of my phone. It was disgusting. But then I find out
But
later,
I want to know what probable cause let them take the phone in the first place. By the way, skip the break. We'll continue. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. The probable cause was this Arctic frost. It's ordered by Arctic frost. The probable cause is let's destroy it. Now, that particular piece was the Mesa County. They wanted to, in my mind, if you look at Arctic frost, it's any senator, anybody that spoke out about the 2020 election and about the voting machines or about securing our election platforms. That's the common thread that runs through over 100 individuals, including Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, by the way, everybody. And here, after that Hardee's thing, then as you roll into 23, the next year, it gets horrific, everybody. They reached out to vendors overseas of MyPillow. We have these emails. They reached out, our own government reached out to the banks that I have, like a sheet company in overseas, and said, if you do business with MyPillow, we are canceling your bank, or the bank told them, we are no longer giving you a line of credit ever. So these vendors,
yeah, you're being treated worse than terrorist organizations get treated now.
All of them were shut down. You got American Express canceled us. They were contact American Express. How evil they were. They pulled our line of credit. We never been late in our life. And then PayPal, we said, you got to come up with $1 million to hold. Our merchant server said, you need to come up with $5 million. They're basically canceling you. I mean, it was a $30 million credit squish just to take MyPillow out so Mike Lindell would shut up about these elections. Then they went to my last two banks. A friend of mine I grew up with, he's the president of the bank, and he calls me up. He says, Mike, you got 1 month to get out of the bank. We have to part ways. And I'm going, why? And he couldn't tell me. Here we find out because the government got to him and subpoenaed the bank, and then would go away if they just dropped Mike Lindell and MyPillow. It was the over that stretch. And has it ever let up, everybody? And I could give you a timeline. It's one thing after another, and it ended up the total cost to MyPillow probably upwards of $300 million. They absolutely destroyed what we once were. This USA company.
Go ahead and skip the break. Keep going, Mike.
This USA company, this employee-owned company, the American dream, where I went from a crack addict. Where else could you do that with any other freedoms in the world? Go from being a crack addict in the streets to building a company that has, sold 85 million MyPillows and employed thousands upon thousands of people. And then another thing that happened, my employees that were working from home, moms and dads working from home in the call center, 4 states went out to attack them and said, you can't work from home anymore. Now that one, I fight everything, everybody. I fought that and won. I won with 4 different states, including my home state of Minnesota and California. That was an uphill climb, but I never stopped fighting, ever. I will not stop. We have to save our country. And now to find out our own government, not only these machine companies and Lawfare and the media's in on all this too. Your Washington Post and Reuters of the world and New York Times. If anybody doesn't think that they're all tied into all this, wrong. And
my response is, if they're not tied into it, why don't they do an interview like I'm doing right now? And why don't they tell you to go to mypillowtrial.com and donate and help? Just imagine if a couple of bigwigs, if a Glenn Beck, a Tucker Carlson, a Joe Rogan put a little bit of money where their mouth is, like Mike Lindell has done. Just think where we'd be now, sir.
Yeah. If you just named 3, it would be great to go on their shows. Joe Rogan and Tucker, and I've asked Tucker numerous times, and I've gotten no, Mike, or just ignored. I
think he's too scared.
They're scared. They are scared. They don't want to get involved. The machines. I can't talk about. I could get sued. You know what? Or how about cowardly Newsmax? You guys realize, everybody, two of the most important dates in United States history are January 7th and 8th of 2021. And everyone's going, well, why is that, Mike? Well, that's the day. Those 2 days are the day 1.2 million Americans were deplatformed off Zuckerberg's Facebook, Jack Dorsey's crooked Twitter, YouTube, Vimeo. If you spoke out against the vaccine or about the 2020 election, or for that matter, some people even speaking out about Jesus Christ, you were deplatformed. Parler, the only competition, was wiped off the face of the earth those 2 days. So I compare those 2 days to when I was growing up, a little black and white TV, but you turn it off as kids and it would go down to this little tiny dot, and we would quick turn it back on before the dot went out. That dot was our voice, everybody. And that voice didn't go out. And we've grown to great podcasts, great shows like yourself, Sam, and all the platforms we have now, from Getter, Grab, Vocal, Truth, now Elon's X instead of Jack Dorsey's crooked Twitter. You still have Zuckerberg's corrupt Facebook, but what I'm saying is our platforms have grown, our voice has gotten bigger, and now one of the things we can pray is that when we hear things, that all this stuff coming out about we have to get rid of these machines, it's got to be spread far and wide, but also you got to spread things like, hey, the great things going on in Texas with 5 counties now that have voted to go to paper ballots with no machines in the room. They're not, and if we don't, it's going to be over. You don't have to go any further than Brazil. My good friend, President Bolsonaro, got his election stolen in 1 day by a guy that sat in prison. Guy pulled him out of prison 4 years early, Lula. and said, and then you could have just had hollow machines that said, and the winner is fresh out of prison 4 years early for crimes against the country of Brazil. He's your new president. I mean, this is where we're going, but because of our voice not going out on those days of January 7th and 8th of 2021, all this had to happen on God's timing. And if you look up patience, you don't see a picture of me, I'll tell you. But I've had to learn patience, and I've had to learn. And the president and I talk all the time it was so important that those 4 years, and I've told him before, sir, if you'd have been put back in on December 14th of 2020 or January 6th, we would have lost our country forever because it's all had to unfold. God gave us grace for such a time as this. These last 4.5 years, enduring all the attacks and everything else, but the people got their eyes opened up and going, holy cow. For me, one of the biggest surprises was this Uniparty evil that's out there. When you see a change in behavior, a deviation going, why does your Sarah Sanders, why does your Alabamas, Louisianas, your Arkansas, why do they block secure elections? You got to ask yourself that. Is it a hidden agenda? Absolutely. Is it an evil agenda beyond anything known to man?
It's really partisan politics that's the problem, and our founders warned us about it. If we're not careful, It's going to destroy the country.
Absolutely. And we just had this the other day. You talk about, that's where Lindell TV, my own network, was founded based on. I was worried you could have all the evidence in the world, but if you silence the conservative media, which they did with Lawfare, and then the attack media, I had to use them for years. Every time I'd get attacked by CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, I welcome that. They all have my direct phone number. They call me up. Mike, you just lost 3 more retailers. How do you feel? You know what? Did you hear about we're going to lose our country? We've got to go to paper ballots, hand counting. We got to get rid of the machine. This is how I got the word out. I didn't care if they kept attacking because we lose everything anyway if we don't get to the end here. And they just recently, you tell me how great things are changing, everybody. Lindell TV right now, we're in the White House. We're in the Capitol, and now we're in the Pentagon because all of them walked out of the Pentagon and said, hey, we're not going to follow your rules. So you don't have your Fox Newses and your CNNs in the Pentagon anymore. You've got Lindell TV and others that are getting, this has all come up to fruition right now as we speak. And so people can get the, and then the other media outlets said, they called me up and one after another, like CNN says, Mike, no, are you going to report, or actually it was the New York Times, are you going to report what you find on your friend Donald Trump when you're in the Pentagon? Are you going to report this stuff? I said, you know what? I'm going to report the truth. Unlike you guys that have attacked me every day for 5 years, relentlessly lying about me, lying about our country, and I said, and that's the reason you guys aren't in there, because you can't follow what should be done is reporting the truth. But I always say, Sam, is what's worse, everybody, those guys lying because we're all onto their lies, or you have your conservative media, your Fox News and Newsmax that have become weather channels that will not talk about hurricanes or tornadoes. What I mean by that is there is no way that anybody could go on Fox or Newsmax and speak out about the good things like Dallas County going to paper ballots hand counted. They've been all silenced by lawfare or corruption or both.
There's also incredible information. The Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, I'm the CEO of that organization for those new people watching. We've been doubling down in support of Mike Lindell and honest elections for quite some time. And one of our lead sheriffs, Dar Leaf, has documented from Michigan till the cows come home these evidences as well. And the DA's got him shut down right now, or the Attorney General of his state, or both. And they've been going after him too. They didn't have a problem with him until he took on elections, and now they think he's a bad guy and they're attacking Dar Leaf. But Dar Leaf is like Mike Lindell, standing up tall for the sacred cause of liberty, people.
Yeah, he's a hero. He is amazing. He just doesn't stop because once again, everybody, he knows what I know. He's seen what we've all seen. And once you see that, you're going, hey, there is no safe machine. And even I was down to the Senate hearing once in Louisiana, and ES&S, the good old boys out of Omaha, Nebraska, by the way, they're the biggest voting machine company in the United States. Between the 4 voting machines, machine companies, Smartmatic, Dominion, ES&S, and Hart is 98 or 99% of all our voting machines. It's a big monopoly. But ES&S was asked by then the crooked Secretary of State, Kyle Ardwin, another Republican, down in Louisiana, asked him, are your machines better than Dominion? Are they more secure? And here was his answer. No, voting machines are secure, period. They all have back doors. They're all vulnerable. And I say to everyone, you know what? If you're going to risk your country, even if it was, let's just say they were just defective. Let's say it wasn't even, and people getting out, they're all online. But let's just say, for instance, they weren't. And you had one mishap, you could lose your country, even if it was a 1 in a million. Would you gamble this when there's an alternative, which we have?
All right, you're breaking up a little bit, Mike. Your connection's not that great. You're breaking up a little bit. Really quick, we'll get you hopefully squared away here in a second. MyPillowTrial.com, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody's got to understand this is one of the most important epic battles we will ever fight. If you lose control of your elections 100%, then it becomes this selection. And that's what Tina Peters spoke about, created a video about. They're selecting the candidates, even with the current elections that we have. Think about illegals voting. And how many illegals will vote in 2030 if we're not very careful indeed. And these illegals that are all around the country, when they vote, you'll have states lose congressmen. You'll have states gain congressmen and women. And it will change the electorate inside. And we've got to stop that for sure. Understand this is coming. We've got to stop the illegals from voting. And then I want to know, Congress never looked into election fraud. January 6th was a rout, dishonestly. Hopefully that gets uncovered. And we have clear prosecutions regarding that to the real guilty people, the deep state government that created provocateur agendas on that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we got to stop these illegals from voting. And I want Congress to absolutely investigate election fraud. They never did it, Mike. Are they going to?
Yeah, absolutely they are. The stuff that Tulsi Gabbard's doing now and the DOJ, they're diving into this, everybody. And you bring up a lot of other good points. There's so many, but it all ties in with computers. But there are other facets to this. The dirty voter rolls, every single state. By the way, I don't care where you're from. If you're down in Florida saying, we got secure elections because, Donald Trump won, rubbish. Every state said, Utah, they're up there. They have pure crime up there. Every state is the different, but the same.
Dear friend Phil Lyman literally won, proved he won, and they still vote fraud shut him down.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you talk to dirty voter rolls, Wisconsin, if everybody voted in Wisconsin that could, it's 4.2 million. On their dirty voter rolls is 7.4 million. And why? You got to ask yourself, everybody, why? They need product to pull into these computers. And when you go back to the 2020 election, I'm going to tell you something, Florida. The third biggest state where there were votes taken from Donald Trump was Florida with 960,000. Number one was California, 1.5 million. Number two was Texas, 1 million. Number three was Florida, 960,000. Everyone says, well, Mike, why would they take people from a state that Donald Trump won anyway? Well, here's why. When you skim a casino, and believe me, I used to be a professional card counter. I know all about the organized crime and stuff from back in the day in Las Vegas. And when you skim the casino, when the mafia did that, you don't just take from one machine or another. You got to even take from the food. So it doesn't show a big deviation. You're going, because otherwise, if you're running numbers, you're going to realize that, hey, this doesn't make sense. I look at numbers every day with MyPillow. If I have a commercial all of a sudden that does 4 times that amount that day, I'm going, there's something wrong. So you have to have a different input to get a different output. So when you go to skim our country, you take votes from everywhere to make it look good. Okay, to make it look good, so you don't have, well, how did this county win this? Or how did this happen? When this county traditionally is 75% red and now it's 25% red, that's a big deviation. So here's what I had told the president about the 2024 election. I said, they're not going to steal it. I said, and here's why. They know we're onto these voting machines. And it would be just like if someone gave you China virus 2.0, we would not have tolerated it. If someone gave us election crime 2.0, we would have demanded the whole country open up those machines. We want to see if Mike was right and everybody else.
I'm going to wrap up by quoting the incredible Triumph rock and roll song, Fight the Good Fight Every Moment. Fight the good fight every day, ladies and gentlemen. Partner with Mike Lindell at MyPillowTrial.com. Mike, thanks for joining me. We'll have you back soon, brother. God bless you and your work, and we support you 1,000%, sir.
Thank you, Sam. God bless you. Thank you.
There he goes, Mike Lindell. Check out Lindell TV, too. They do a phenomenal job over there. MyPillowTrial.com. Look, this guy's got guts. He's willing to stand up. He's an American hero. We got to support him and support Tina Peters big time. Let's get it done. God save our republic.